What's going on, everybody? Steve Shaw here, editorial director at TigerFitness.com. I'm going to do a live video today. Live for Thursday. I'm going to be on here for about a half an hour, and I'll get back to work. Busy at Tiger Fitness HQ doing an article on the link between obesity and cancer, and just in general, the link between obesity and the increase in likelihood of disease and illness. So I'll be taking your questions for the next half an hour. How's it going, Brian? Before I get into your questions, just want to talk a little bit about rest pause training because it's something I really enjoy. Get a lot of questions about rest pause training. How's it going, John? And rest pause training, basically, I believe it is a wonderful approach to build muscle. It's also a good power building approach. It allows you to build strength quite rapidly. There are many ways to do rest pause training. Thanks, Joe. I'll get on with this spiel and get it done quickly. There are many ways to do rest pause training, but people ask me why I like rest pause training for muscle building. I like it because instead of training to failure, well, the idea is when you train to failure that you take a muscle to its absolute limit. The beauty of rest pause training is that you can safely push a set for as many quality reps as you can, and you stop that set before your form breaks down. And then you rest only briefly. You don't allow the muscle to fully recover, and then you continue on to perform safe quality reps. So you're beating a muscle while it's down, while also doing safe reps. No need to train to failure, and you can take a few minutes in between these little mini sets or these little mini efforts. Catch your breath, catch your senses, and go back to the work again without that muscle being fully recovered. Now, there are different ways to do rest pause training. On the compound movements, I like to say bench press, do as many reps as possible, or dumbbell bench, do as many reps as possible with a weight, and then rest like 30 seconds, and then get back under the bar, and then rest like 30 seconds and get back under the bar. You can start to extend those rest periods. You can do 30-30, then 45-45, and then 60. I call this bulldozer training. It's something I came up with. You kind of extend the rest periods as you go deeper into the rest pause cycle. You can also do something called block training, where you take like a 2 or 3 or 4 minute block, and you try to do as many reps as possible, safe reps, for an exercise during that period of time. So say you were doing push-ups as a finisher, or dips, or whatever the exercise is, you would do as many reps as you could during that 2 or 3 minute block. Rest only as needed. So basically, if you get, say, 60 push-ups in 2 minutes, next time you're in the gym, you try to do 62 or 63 or whatever. So that's a basic outline of rest pause training and why I like it. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. If you have any questions on rest pause training, drop it in. And I'll be here again for the next half an hour taking questions. So if you guys have any questions for me on anything, nutrition, supplements, training, strength building, whatever form, I'm here to help. Make you guys aware that the outright bars are just about gone. We got them back in stock yesterday, and they are just absolutely blown out the door. So if you want some, there's a few left. You better head over to the site now. Chicken Joe says, how often do you change your workouts, meaning time frame? The idea that you have to change workouts or you're going to plateau is really misguided. It's old school bro nonsense. Really, for the natural lifter, as long as you have a good exercise selection, as long as you have progression, as long as you're consistent, you are not really your gains are not really going to slow down. What happens is that most guys experience rapid gains during the first year, and then gains naturally decrease because you can only get so big as a natural. So when folks see these gains slowing down, both strength and size, they panic, think they need to switch stuff up. I've seen a lot of guys switch stuff up over the years, and it really doesn't reignite gains. You are going to see gains that are in line with natural physiology, meaning you experience rapid progress the first couple of years, and then deteriorating progress the closer you get to your natural limit. So you really don't need to switch anything up. And I know that's a controversial statement, but I believe it to be 100% accurate. You can certainly try different things, but there is no urgent need to switch things up. All right, let me see what I missed here. Anson says, is double exercise good or bad for a day? You mean working out twice? It really depends on what you're doing. Lifting twice is probably, it can be done. If you're talking about lifting and cardio, that's absolutely fine. If you're talking about lifting twice, you could do the old school double split, where you might do back at night or your evening workout, and then in the morning go do biceps or something. You can certainly do that if you want to, but it's not advised. Let's see. Shane Thompson says, are you using Marc's phone? LOL. No, I'm not using Marc's phone. LOL. Marc is in Texas. Let's see. Marc is not here. I'm the content manager at Tiger Fitness. Any idea if Propecia affects muscle gains? No idea. Probably not. Natural physiology is natural physiology. There's very few things that are going to derail natural muscle gains. If any prescription drug has any impact, it's only going to be minor as far as I am aware. Brian Smith says, I never know how many exercises per muscle group. Don't think of it as exercises per muscle group. What you want to do is look at your weekly volume of sets and of reps. And you want to get a good mix of compound movements. And after the compound movements are done, you move on to maybe less intense compound movements, machine movements, isolation movements. So you can't just all do compound movements. You're going to beat your body up as you get stronger. But you want to look at overall sets during the week, whether you do a split, upper-lower split, a bro split, upper-lower split, or full body workout. So you just kind of want to look at things as a whole and just make sure you are keeping things reasonable. Let's see here. I'm trying to scroll down and make sure I didn't miss any questions. Mr. Giovanni says, squatting on rest pause training, do you recommend the weight be light, medium, or heavy? That's a very good question, and I didn't mention this, but there's certain exercises I really don't like rest pause training for, and obviously the big ones would be squats. It just increases the likelihood of sloppy squats. You can do squats and deadlifts for rest pause. I would probably go no higher than 80%. What I like to do is see how many singles or doubles you could do in a 10-minute window with squats or deadlifts. So you go do a single or double, you rack the bar, you catch your breath, catch your senses, and get right back under the bar, or if you're squatting, or grab the bar if you're deadlifting, and then perform another double. That way you have to set the bar down. You're going to do a quality setup as far as form, and you're going to get your head out of your butt. So you can do rest pause using squats or deadlifts. You can do singles, doubles, maybe even triples. You just got to make sure after you rack the bar that you don't get back under it again until your head is squarely out of your anus. So let's see here. Jesse says, whatever happened to your supplement? Do you plan on bringing it back? Huge Gainer did its run, and there's been talk about that, but nothing pressing. I have so much work to do here as content manager, and I have so much work that I do with with the folks that I'm surrounded with in my massive iron circle that I just simply don't have time for, to be honest with you. I helped a little bit launching the big brand as far as helping with the branding and stuff. So let's see here. Grant says, how to strengthen the pelvic floor and to increase stamina in the bedroom. Dude, an increase in stamina, no, that ain't gonna have to do with your pelvic strength. If your pelvis is going out, your hips are going out during sex, you got some serious issues, so I can't help you with that. You have to see a medical professional. Jeremy says, what cues or things are to watch are there for overhead press? Pulling the traps down, what muscle to flex and hold to stabilize. Overhead press, what you want to do is focus on keeping your wrists above your elbows, whether you're doing them in the front, okay, at the starting position, or whether you're doing it behind the neck. When you're doing it behind the neck, you really don't want the bar to go below your lower ear. When you're doing it in the front, they can sink a little bit below. And really, that is the main cue. You want to make sure you don't go too deep behind the neck. You want to keep kind of wrists over elbows. If your wrists are inside your elbows and you're pressing like this, there's going to be some natural outward rotation. The elbows are going to want to rotate like this, and it's going to put some extra strain on the shoulders when you're pressing. Same thing if you start, I can't even do it. If you start with a really awkward wide grip like that, you have inward rotation, which places stress on your shoulders. That's the main cue, so I hope that helps. All right, let's see here. I have a cold, so just excuse me if I sound like awful. Terry says, I'm 67. What test do you recommend? I don't recommend anything, man. I'm not a TRT doctor. Go talk to your TRT doctor. That's a ridiculous question. Marianne Hoth says, I have very low low hormone levels. I am working on increasing them to normal levels. Will having low hormones make it impossible for me to gain weight? The key word in that sentence is impossible and no. There are a lot of men with low testosterone levels that can build a lot of muscle. You can, with effort, the body will respond. With that said, if you have hormonal issues, obviously you want to go see a doctor. But no, you can still build muscle with lower testosterone levels. I know plenty of men and women that have hormonal issues that are able to do so. Let's see, Jose says, I recently changed my workout routine and have been working out for a solid week. My question is, I feel the same as if I used to work out for 5 with 2 days of rest. Should I keep going or go back to 2? If you feel good, man, there's no need to change anything. I mean, personal experience is really the king of what regulates what you do in the gym. That is why there's it's a little bit of an art form. People will make generic or blank statements about what you should or shouldn't do in the weight room. But a lot of this comes down to experience, personal experience. Some people will like supersets. Some people will like rest pause training. Some people will like drop sets. Some people don't like any of that stuff. Some people will like working out 4 days a week. Some people like working out 3 days a week. There's really no magic. It really comes down to what works for you as long as the main pillars are in place. Focusing on compound movements, having some form of progression, remaining consistent, having your diet in check, so on and so forth. All right, guys, I'll be on for about another 17 minutes. If you have questions, just post them up. If not, I'll just drop off and publish the video. I'm sitting here trying to wake up with this cold, drinking Red Monster after Red Monster. Best supplement for inflammation. Well, if you have inflammation, probably the best thing you want to do is take some steps to protect that area. I'm assuming you're talking about joint inflammation. I have a little bit right now in my elbow. I did a 6-hour workout not a 6-hour workout. I was involved with the 6-hour workout this weekend, but I deadlifted for an hour straight, every minute on the minute. And I have some minor inflammation in the shoulder and elbow, and really the best thing you can do is rest. If you have continued inflammation, what you really need to do is take an assessment of your workout, and maybe you're training too hard and too heavy too frequently, and you might need to pull back on that. Oh, we got customer service out there. They're too scared to come in here, but they just want to annoy me. Pausing for a second after performing a rep versus no pause for hypertrophy and strength. Ain't going to make any difference, really. In the long run, will not make any difference. It's completely overthinking the importance of one variable. There are some reasons to do pausing. If you're weak off the chest, a pause is certainly worth trying on the bench press. A pause in the squat can help you focus and learn to stay tight in the hole, which is something that is kind of a lost art in squatting. A lot of squats you see on the internet are very loose. So There are some reasons to do pause squatting, but at the end of the day, it's not going to really make any difference with hypertrophy. It can make, if it does, it might make a minor difference for someone that has a really big, chest weakness. It might help a little bit, and it can help train you to stay tighter on your lifts, on your bench press and squat in the whole. But it's certainly nothing magical. It is a tool, and nothing really more. Let's see, Dean Brooks. Steve, I don't have a question, but rather a comment. I use what you advise and make it work for me. I've lost 4 inches from my waist in 11 weeks. Thank you. I'm glad you did. Stay strong. Continue to do what you're doing, Dean. It's good to see anybody getting results and working towards their goal. And just remember, the basics always work, and just to stick to the basics. When it comes to weight loss, a lot of people try to overcomplicate things, but you always have to remember that you want to seek a lifestyle change, a lifestyle that involves better choices and more movement. And really that comes down to, a lot of people get focused on a diet, but really the key to long-term happiness and health is focusing on making better food choices and on moving more. So just continue to do that. What's a good supplement for recovery? Well, the best supplement for recovery is going to be protein powder. Just making sure you're getting in enough protein. A lot of people don't get in as much protein as they think, and it's good to at least hit minimums for men, 150 grams per day, and for women, I usually advocate 90 to 100, even up to 110 grams per day as goals. You want to make sure you're getting in your protein. You want to make sure you're getting in your water. You want to make sure you're reaching your calorie target for the day. That's really your staple. And you want to make sure you're resting and not trying to kill yourself. Tommy Lee says, do stomach vacuums actually shrink the waist? No, they don't shrink the waist. They can train you to have muscle control. They help you get better at doing a stomach vacuum. That's really all they do. And they can help strengthen that area so you have better muscle control when you're doing your little posing that bodybuilders do. But no, it won't shrink your waist, not at all. Your waist is made up of fat. Your waist is made up of a genetically predetermined size, of bone structure, organs inside. The only thing that will really shrink the waist is reduction of visceral fat, which is internal fat, and reduction of external fat. If you have loose skin after weight loss, you can also reduce your waist by having that removed. But that's the only way to shrink your waist. How to induce hyperplastia, and does it help towards overall size and strength? I have no idea what the term is, so you'll have to excuse me, but I'm not going to speak on anything I'm not certain about. Post that up over at the Tiger Fitness Group on Facebook. Let's see, if I lift heavy like a bodybuilder and then do the treadmill like the same day, then the following day ride the bike, am I losing muscle? No, absolutely not. The body is not that fickle. The body is not fragile. A reasonable amount of cardio is good for health, and everybody needs to do a reasonable amount of cardio, so do not fear it. If you are doing an excessive amount of cardio, then it could be an issue as far as muscle gains. You might slow muscle gains a little bit, but you're not gonna lose muscle. Let's see. What's going on, Jose? I'll be on for about another 10 minutes, guys. So if you have questions, just toss them up. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. And Jordan, to answer your question, to build muscle, it's all the same thing. Don't overcomplicate anything. You have to have a good exercise selection. You have to have progressive overload, and you have to have consistency. Don't overthink things, because there's no real magic outside of that. Everything beyond that realm really comes down to personal preference. You can climb up a mountain 7,000 ways. You can do it backwards, you can do it forwards, you can do it crawling on your stomach, you can do it riding a bike. You can take this path or that path, but they all lead up the mountain. And the whole point is the path up the mountain is a good exercise selection, progressive overload, and consistency. That's really the path up the mountain. Everything else is just a 10%, so don't overthink the minors. Let's see, what do you think about people with waist trainers to help their midsection? That does not help their midsection. A waist trainer will temporarily tighten your fat, compress your fat, and then when you take it off, it'll decompress your fat. So, it's a colossal waste of time. If you have fat around your waist, you need to be taking care of yourself, not using a waist trainer. Period of end of story. Period and end of story. Thoughts on the legalization of steroids? I don't really care. This is a health and fitness channel. This channel is about lifting. My passion is about lifting. My passion is about weight loss, and I really don't give a darn about that realm. So I'm just being honest with you. I really don't care. I really don't care. Look, there's a lot of things in this country that we can debate whether they should be legalized. Is marijuana worse than alcohol? There's a strong debate that says alcohol is worse than marijuana. What is the reason why performance-enhancing drugs became illegal? Well, there's a lot of layers to that onion. Certainly, in moderate dosages, they appear to be safe. Certainly, there's a big boom in testosterone replacement therapy. But, when it comes to sports involves a lot of money. And if you have legalization of something, people are going to find it more of an excuse to use it in sports. And that's a problem, a complex problem that is beyond me and that I don't care to think about or solve because I don't really watch much sports these days. Let's see, ABC123 says, what multivitamin or individual vitamins do you recommend? Well, MTS Nutrition has a multi. It also has a greens with multi, so if you don't like your veggies, you want to that's a good product. You can have your greens and multivitamin. Beyond that, you want to look at your basics. Like a lot of people don't get enough sun, so vitamin D. But you really also want to focus on bringing up your micronutrient content with fruits and vegetables and a good selection of whole, clean foods. Beyond that, I think vitamin D is the big one, just because people just aren't getting outdoors as much as they used to be. So potassium is another area of concern, especially with high blood pressure. Potassium can have an impact on blood pressure because the sodium-potassium balance is very important. So if you have blood pressure issues, I'd make sure you're getting enough potassium, and also make sure you're getting enough vitamin D. Let's see. Make sure I don't miss anything. My thoughts are as of yours in the area of gimmicks. Yep, absolutely. How old were you when you got serious about weight training? I was into fitness since I was about 12 or 13. I was a baseball player as a teenager. I was a runner as a teenager. I ran from, I don't know, about the age of 14 to 27, maybe the age of 13 to 27. I was always involved with basketball and baseball. I had a concrete weight set as a teenager, and I would do resistance training. Even back then, I didn't know what to do, and I didn't have heavy enough weights. I had like 90 pounds on the bench press, so I do crap like an 8x8 and a 10x10. But it wasn't until college that I got really serious about lifting. We had a really good gym in college. I made a lot of progress in my first 2 years of lifting. It wasn't until I got out of the military and got married and got in more of a stagnant, lifestyle that I began to gain weight. Excuse me, I got a cold. Not feeling too well. Don't look. I'll take care of some sinus issues. All right, what do we got here? Importance of carbs for intra post workout. Overall, the main thing to consider is that you want to get in your macronutrients during the day. We tend to overthink. We tend to overthink things a little bit, and when people ask about carbs post workout, I guess the best thing to say is, what is your body craving post workout? And the older folks used to say you're working up an appetite, and when you get done lifting, generally I crave carbs. A lot of people crave carbs. So I feel if the body is asking you for something in response to exercise, then it's probably a good thing to take it in. I'm no expert like Marc on supplementation. I'm more of a power building geek, but I believe When you are doing something like exercise and the body is telling you something, you need to take that seriously. If you're sitting around on the couch binge watching Netflix and your body's craving carbs, that craving is probably an opposite response. You're probably abusing your body, or you could be bored and your body wants to eat and eat and eat, and you're on some crazy insulin roller coaster. So if you're exercising, there's probably good reason to have carbs. Tim says, when deadlifting and managing 8 reps for 4 sets, should I try to get 12 reps at that weight or move up in weight gradually? What I recommend, if you're deadlifting and you're doing the 4x8, on the last set, do as many quality reps as you can. Quality reps means your form's not breaking down. So if you're doing like a 4x8, on that last rep, push it, for as many quality reps as you can. And if you get like 11 or 12, then add 5 pounds. You got to have some, measuring stick or some metering stick for when you add weight. So that's a really good approach. A few more questions, guys, and I'm going to hop off. Mr. Giovanni says, ATG, ass-to-grass squatting. With your great knowledge, is ass-to-grass necessary, important? No. It's a really foolish thing to focus on. The deeper you go into a squat, the more your lower back tends to round and you lose tightness. It can be a chest beating thing, but really overall, it's not a requirement to build muscle. And it can be rather foolish for most people to try to go that deep. So really you just want to sink a little bit below parallel and don't worry about ass to grass. Anybody that pushes that really doesn't understand the mechanics of the squat and how dangerous inherently it can be. What can I do for the new stretch marks I'm getting in my chest? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They're a badge of your resistance training progress. There's nothing you can do. Is it necessary to take a rest day midweek on a 5-day push-pull legs routine? Is it necessary? Well, your body can tolerate a lot. It's probably a good idea because over time, as you get stronger, you're going to beat the crap out of your body. And it's good to take a day off after every 2 to 3 days of training, if you are training properly. If you feel like you can continue to go, you're probably not training hard enough. So that's my honest answer. Let's see what's going on in Russia. What's your opinion on cooking in a microwave and baking with protein powder? Do you think it kills the benefits? No. I think a lot of that's hype. A lot of it's scare. Certainly there are some negatives associated with anything, but are they something we should be terrorized by? Probably not. There's probably a little bit of truth in there, but certainly you shouldn't be cooking everything you eat in a microwave, but the occasional use is, it's not as bad as eating Doritos every day, let's put it that way. Should I take a test booster for overall energy? Should you take a test booster? Well, test booster, I talk about test boosters like this. Life is a roller coaster. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have stress, and you're going to have sleep issues, and you're going to have bad days and bad food choices. Your hormone levels are never a straight line. So when it comes to a test booster, I tell people this is the curve of life, the ups and downs with your testosterone. A test booster can help kind of smooth that out a little bit. Let's see. I am going to go over here and let's see here. I'm going to block somebody for making a stupid comment. All right, there you go. What is a good exercise for upper chest? Really, you can focus on upper chest, but, it's really hard to focus. The best thing you want to do is, for all muscle development in your upper body, you want to do a lot of overhead pressing, you want to do a lot of chest pressing, and maybe even work an incline. That'll develop all the balance you need. Let's see, push-pull legs or typical workout split for hypertrophy. Do what you like to do, and do it hard. Stay Salty wants me to do the wiffle waffle. He's a one-trick pony, but we still love him. And Hulkamaniac, one last question. Rest one day from protein to prevent protein? No, I don't. No, don't. You don't need to take. You don't need to take a break from protein. Too much overthinking. Whoever propagated that is just got some motivation, trying to get you to overthink the process. The body is not this complex machinery where you have to plug in this and take out this for it to continue to function properly. All right, guys, that's it from Tiger Fitness. Thanks for watching. We appreciate your support. If you want some outright bars, there's just a few left, so head over to Tiger Fitness now. All right, thank you, guys. See you next time.